There's 4 phases of growth. I'm gonna break these down in a way that I haven't traditionally taught before. I went through these 4 phases. Every law firm owner who doubled their revenues, they went through the same exact process in some mix, in some capacity, they went through the same exact process. When I started my business, I went through the R phase. So the first phase is what's called the Rainmaker phase. So around 60% of you are doing under $400,000 a year in revenue, which is around where the Rainmaker phase caps out. The Rainmaker phase is where everything revolves around who? You, right? You are the business. We heard stories from multiple attorneys now who have been through the Rainmaker phase where everything revolved around them. The 2 pieces of evidence of you being in the Rainmaker phase is WOM and help. What the heck's that mean? Word of mouth, okay? You know your law firm depends on you when all of your cases come from word of mouth. Word of mouth is not scalable, word of mouth is not predictable, and word of mouth is a sign that you have a personality or person-dependent law firm, which is not scalable. Also, help is actually helpers. You know that your employees are helpers. I know this is how it was for me in my first year at SMB Team when I set the goal to do $500,000 a year in revenue. When I started SMB Team, it was me. All of our lawyer clients came through word of mouth or me personally reaching out to lawyer clients. Like, it was all around me. I was the one building the marketing campaigns. This is 5 years ago. I was the one doing all of the client work. In order to break out of the Rainmaker phase, I had to enter phase 2. Phase 2 is where I learned a demand side marketing strategy. I went from $450K to $1.5 million in 1 year by just learning a demand side marketing strategy. What was that demand side marketing strategy? Well, demand marketing is when someone is in demand for your law firm. What website do potential new clients go to when they're in demand for your legal services? Google, right? They're not in demand of your legal services when they're on Facebook. They're in demand of your legal services when they're on Google, typing in your practice area, plus variations of your town name and variations of your practice area. So here's how it worked for me. When I got to the end of the Rainmaker phase, I had this annual plan. I had an Excel spreadsheet that said I was going to do $1.5 million. I pre-projected this. This wasn't a guess. This was a goal that I set. My second year in business, I am going to do, notice the decisiveness there, I am going to do $1.5 million in my second year in business. I don't know, 27 years old? I'm 31 years old now. And all I did was I had a crystal clear plan and I reverse engineered into that plan. I said, how am I going to get the leads that I need in order to add an additional 1.05 million in revenue? Because I went from 450,000 to 1.5 million just by embracing a demand side marketing strategy. What do lawyers type in when they're searching for a marketing company online? SEO, marketing company for lawyers, lawyer marketing company. I did keyword research and I found that what I was going to do, I didn't want to compete against the FindLaws and the Scorpions of the world. So instead of showing advertisements on Google for law firm marketing company, I decided to go to ads.google.com and do keyword research and actually look at what were lawyers typing in online. And I found this niche, and it was called law firm PPC, which was our company's core competency at the time, before we had a multi-hundred attorney coaching business, before we merged with Andy and now do SEO and social media marketing. Before any of that, all we did was law firm PPC. So instead of bidding on keywords that were more expensive and more costly, law firm marketing company, I decided to show ads for a specific keyword group when only lawyers typed in law firm PPC. I could have set a $100,000 a month budget for that keyword. Here's the thing. How many lawyers do you think type that in versus law firm marketing company? Less or more? They type in the word law firm PPC way less than they type in the word law firm marketing company because it's a more specific search. So therefore, there's no way I could spend all of my money on that keyword because the keyword was specific enough to not break the bank. So that one strategy added $1 million onto my business. I had a 44% lead conversion rate on my leads when I was using the Google ads, but I was the one on the phone. 44% of the phone calls that I got, I turned into signed up clients, but who was the one on the phone? Me. Problem. Me, no scalable. okay? So I realized very quickly I had to hire a full-time salesperson. When I hired him, I love you, Dave, but the close rate cut in half immediately. His close rate was 20%. So when I got on the phone, I closed 44% of the leads. When he got on the phone, he closed 20% of the leads. That's because he wasn't the owner of the company. To be expected, right? That doesn't mean I went back to picking up the phone. That means I built better sales training processes. I up-leveled his skill set so that he could perform better on the phone so I could buy my time back. Another thing happened is we started signing up a lot of clients. So I was the one building all of the client campaigns. I was doing all the client work. How many of you can put yourself in a time where maybe it's right now where you do all the client work? That was me. So break point number 2. I had to replace myself and hire someone else to build the marketing campaigns for my clients. All it took was one strategy. My first month in Google Ads, I spent $6,000. My second month in Google Ads, I spent $26,000. Within the day I launched my campaigns, I signed up a family law firm that did $5 million a year in revenue, one call close, $18,000 contract. Within that month, I signed up 4 more clients. I used that money to reinvest in more advertising spend. What's 26 times 5? 130K. And what's $130,000 times 12 months in a year? Right around 1.5 million. Voila. Oh, wait, isn't there more to it? Isn't it more? No, it's not. Nope, it's not any more complicated than that. Right strategy on Google, spend the money, go through the intake solving problems, go through the case management and client work solving problems, meaning replace yourself in intake, replace yourself in case management. Now, this is the same exact process that most, I would say, 85% of the law firm owners, of the 71 law firm owners who doubled their revenues in the last 12 months, they use this as their primary strategy to add over $1 million in revenue to their law firms. Then I got to a point where, okay, this was working really well, so I followed a process that's called lead abundance layering. I didn't go, oh, that was nice, let's stop it and let's go on to something new, shiny object syndrome. No, I said, let's layer another source of leads on top of what's already working with our demand side marketing strategy on Google. I next went into awareness marketing. So what are some traditional forms of attorney awareness marketing? Phone book, TV, radio, billboard, all that good stuff, right? So with that being said, I decided, okay, we got in front of lawyers who were typing in keywords online. Now it's time to get in front of lawyers when they're not searching for us. How many websites do you think exist that are viable sources of leads that you can market on the internet? I'm not talking about traditional. I'm talking about modern sources that actually get a high ROI. Not that many. I understand how some of you could say millions of websites. Let me explain. Google has something that's called a display network. Has anyone ever logged into weather.com and saw a banner advertisement at the top of weather.com? That's called Google's display network. Google is partnered with 2 million websites online, and you can only show banner advertisements through primarily Google's display network. So Google is through which you show advertisements on 2 million websites. Google is where you show websites through YouTube. Google owns YouTube. YouTube is the second highest traffic website in the world. So we have the Google bucket for where you can show awareness advertisements, but then where do more people spend time than Google? TikTok and Facebook. Here's the problem with TikTok. You can't show legal advertisements on TikTok, so that leaves us with one, Facebook and Instagram. Let me ask you this. How many of you saw a Facebook advertisement for this event at some point in time? You are a business owner. We targeted you, a lawyer, through Facebook advertising. The majority of our budget was through Facebook advertising. Now, it didn't start there. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars promoting this event, $300,000 we spent on advertisements for this specific event. That didn't start there. It started where I spent my first $6,000 on Facebook ads and it sucked and it didn't work, and I promoted an ebook and no one downloaded it and I thought Facebook was trash. I did this free website design cheat sheet download for lawyers. Nobody downloaded it, didn't turn into any clients. Has anyone ever failed on social media before? I failed at social media until I realized I needed to learn something about social media, because one thing's for sure. If Google's the highest traffic website in the world, YouTube's the second highest traffic website in the world, if Facebook's the third highest traffic website in the world, it's not that they don't work, it's that my strategy doesn't work. And if I want to be a business owner that deserves to grow from 1.5 to 4.5 million minimum. Okay, these are minimums here. Rainmaker phase, you cap out at $450,000. Okay, then you can get to 1.5 million to 4.5 million just with a demand side marketing strategy. You can just add this revenue into your business, 1.5 to 4.5 million. Then you can go from 4.5 to 10 million, right, from awareness advertising. And then you can go to 10 to 20 beyond that. So awareness advertising, I knew nothing about Facebook ads. I remember the day I met Andy Stickle. I reached out to Andy, and he didn't know who I was. He was like a legend in the space. I reached out to him, and I actually reached out to interview him. If you type in Andy Stickle, Bill Hauser, and you go to my earliest YouTube videos, this is published on my YouTube channel. The first time I ever talked to Andy Stickle, I asked him every question you could imagine about how he was marketing and all this good stuff. And that's because I knew he was crushing it on social media ads. I booked this interview with him. Then afterwards, I went out of my way. I messaged him on Facebook and I said, Andy, would you be willing to mastermind with me this Wednesday? And that Wednesday, Andy agreed to meet with me and we masterminded. And during that mastermind, we had another very big business owner in the space on those calls who I won't name, who ended up dropping off these Wednesday calls that we'd have. And then it was just me and Andy. And one day, I'm in my kitchen and Andy screen shares and he shows me how he's running Facebook ads targeting attorneys. Oh, I'm targeting AVO interest, find law interest, specific case management CRM interest groups. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gold. I'm like, I have my phone to the side. I'm literally recording him as he's screen sharing. I'm like, I may never get to talk to this guy again. This is exactly what I need to know to crush it on social media. And then he said, my number one source of leads, Bill, is webinar opt-ins. I was like, oh crap, I was pushing an ebook. Webinar opt-ins are what work best for B2B in my business. So I just changed what I was promoting on Facebook ads and all of a sudden it started working. I started doing webinars, educational webinars, and I scaled that budget from $6,000 a month up to $60,000 per month. I want everyone to do something really quick. So I went from 6 to 60K here. But remember, I was already spending $26,000 a month on my demand side marketing, Google strategy. So then I went to 60K. Okay, 60 plus 26 is $86,000, okay? I want someone to multiply 86 times 5 and then put that in the chat. $430,000. Who wants to tell me what 430K times 12 is? That's how much I started making per month after I dialed this in. Times 12 months is 5.16 million. So you now saw two examples of how I went from the Rainmaker phase to $1.5 million in revenue. Then I added Facebook ads as my awareness strategy in, and I got to $5 million in revenue with the awareness phase. Now, what happened again when I started showing Facebook ads? Did my lead conversion rates go up or down? Down, plummeted. I was closing 20% of my Google leads, and when I started doing Facebook ads, I started closing, 5% of my leads that would come in through Facebook. And that's where I started learning about lead nurturing. And I started capturing the leads that would sign up for my webinars. And I started sending emails to them and playing a long game with all the emails that I was capturing from Facebook. So my intake system broke. Because of that, I then had to hire additional salespeople, build new lead vetting processes for the leads that were coming in. I had to solve intake. We signed up more clients. Did I have to hire more or less people? What do you think? I had to hire more people to do the client work. And then the management phase is where you can scale to 10 million and then from 10 to 20 million, okay? The management phase is where you embrace WNH. WNH stands for who, not how. I run now a business that did $20 million last year. I have 72 full-time W-2 employees. We'll do over $30 million this year. I do none of the work. Zero. Why? Because I follow who, not how. I've hired way smarter people than me. I have 2 people on my team I pay $500,000 a year who are high-level executives that have run multi-hundred-million-dollar companies. I'm not smarter than them. I pay them. They're smarter than me at running the business, right? I am the organizer of talent now as the head coach of SMB team. The only reason I got the money to do that is because I went through phases 1 through 3. How many of you want to get to phase 4 where the business actually runs itself? So it's not that Facebook doesn't work, it's not that Google doesn't work, it's that your strategy does or doesn't work. This isn't just yippee yappy. This is the formula right here. This is it.